Even David, Nivisha Parapor missing from like
What happened in Musore was a little bit different.
ndabyemera kubera ko Bugesera bifite amateka yihariye.
It's because in Musore they kind of have their own past, their own history of the event.
Ya abantu bafite ububabare bw'igihe kinini.
People have suffered for quite a long time.
Nico gihe rero niyo mpamvu wabonaga ari bishasha kandi bashaka kuvuga.
That's why you saw people were so engaged and they wanted to talk a lot more about their troubles.
Ariko nanone n'igitangaje kirimo bari batangajwe no kubona urubuga bavugira mu myaka yose basa n'abacecetse.
But also what was surprising for them was that they found a sort of platform where they could express themselves after so many years.
Ariko nanone ikintu cyari gitangaje mu kubona urubyiruko uhabwa umwanya ukavuga ariko n'umwarimu n'urubyiruko rufitanye ibibazo n'ababyeyi babo kubera ibyo ababyeyi bakoze.
But it was also interesting to see how the youth were so engaged and also they were ready to expose some of the issues they are facing because of what their parents did during the genocide.
Kubona urubyiruko ruvuga ngo twabonye ibyo ababyeyi bacu bakoze ariko nimutabivuga turabivuga turashaka kuva muri ibyo bintu.
It was very interesting to see how the youth, some of them spoke out and spoke against their parents, telling their parents that they need to tell the truth. And the youth were saying, if you don't tell the truth, we are going to tell the truth on your behalf because we know some of the atrocities you have done.
Byari bishimishije rero kubona urubyiruko ruri guharanira ati turashaka ejo bacu bazaza ntabwo dushaka mwebwe ahanye.
It was very pleasant to see these young people taking a decision, saying that they wanted a better future. They wanted to get rid of the bad past that their parents had created for them. This is something unusual. It's not only here, but everywhere in the world.
I was going to ask, sometimes it's difficult, I think, to gauge what effects these forums have on people.
Ati rimwe na rimwe si ibintu byoroshe kugira ngo ushobore kubona impact cyangwa akamaro aya maforum ariko aragira ku bantu.
So can you share some of the things that have happened as a result of these forums?
Ati hari ibintu ubona byiza wewe ubona warabonye mu nyuma y'aya maforum. Hari ikintu cyiza wabonye cyabaye nk'ingaruka ya forum.
Nhereye kuri jyewe ku giti cyanjye.
I'm going to give you my personal experience.
Ubumenyi nigira muri forum n'ibibazo mbona n'uburyo mbibona nuko nigira ku bafacilitator natwigisha.
I have learned a lot from these forums, but I have also gained a lot of skills from the facilitators themselves.
Jyewe ubwanje bimfasha nuko mbana n'abandi muri family umugore wanjye n'abana.
It helps me to build good relationships in my own family, with my wife and my children.
Ndetse ndamusengera hari uburyo buzankinguye amaso.
But also in my own church.
Ikindi kuri community hari ibintu birimo bidasanzwe bigenda bikorwa hari ukuri kwagiye kuvugirwa muri forum utari kuzo.
At the level of the community, these forums have helped to find out the truth about what happened in this country, and that truth had never been spoken about before.
Abagize uruhare muri genocide baravuga ati bakavuga ibyo bakoze.
I give you an example. The perpetrators, for instance, they come out and tell the whole story about what they have done. Not only that, they also say that they are going to tell their children.
Bakanaranga n'imibiri itari yashingwaho ko n'ikifu nicyo kibazo gikomeye gihari baranaranga imibiri.
But also till today we still have a problem where people have been killed, we don't know where they are, and those perpetrators now they are ready to come out and show where they dumped the bodies of those who died.
ikindi kirimo kuri community hari imibanire igenda ihinduka urugero ni
These forums have also an impact on people's relationships in the community.
urugero twabushize Patrick yaradutumiye tugiwe yarafite.
I'll give you an example. For instance, Patrick, who is one of the perpetrators, he invited us to visit his family, and we went.
twagiyeyo n'abarokotse jenoside yakorewe abatutsi.
Patrick, as a perpetrator, invited us, and we visited him, and we went with a group of survivors.
byari bitangaje kubona survivor kwa Patrick. byari bitangaje kubona uwarokotse ajya kwa Patrick.
It was a surprise for everybody to see that some of the survivors were ready to go and visit Patrick in his home.
mama we yaratubwiye ngo iyo arebye ibyo Patrick yakoze no kubona abantu bazi wiwe ati ubumwe n'ubwiyunge bwo kubura.
Patrick's mother made a comment saying that knowing what Patrick had done in the genocide, and also seeing some of the survivors visiting Patrick in their home, she said that the unity and reconciliation is working in this country.
rero hari amahuriro batangiye gushiraho mato bahuriyemo.
Another example is that people after these forums have created small associations in their neighborhoods where they meet and talk about what happened.
abana babo rero baranatinyitse abana babo barimo barashaka kuva muri ibi bintu bahereye no ku makuru bababwira bavuye hano.
Some of them have opened up to their children and are telling their children what they have done, and now the children feel so motivated to create a better future for themselves.
ikindi cyiza cyaguye mu buryo abantu bahinduye imyumvire, uburyo bari babona ubumwe n'ubwiyunge, uburyo bari babona ubumwe n'ubwiyunge nk'igisubizo kirambye cy'u Rwanda.
You can also see how people have changed their perceptions and their ideas about unity and reconciliation, and seeing that this is the best way for a better future for Rwanda.
n'uburyo perpetrators bose na survivors bashobora kuvuga ko ibyabaye byose mureke dusigira abana hejuru u Rwanda rwiza tubabwije.
Even the perpetrators, they agree on the fact that they want to tell the truth to their children so that they can live a better future for their children, a better country for their children.
ntabwo bisanzwe mu muco w'Abanyafurika n'Abanyarwanda kuba mu mugabarira.
It's not very common in Africa, in our African culture, in the Rwandan culture, to see a man, for instance, crying in front of people.
hari n'imigani ivuga ngo amarira y'umugabo atemba ajya mu nda.
We have this proverb saying that when a man cries, you can never see the tears because the tears will go inside in his belly.
ariko kubera kuri forum ari gutemba ajya hanze.
But due to the impact of these forums, you can now see men crying in public.
kugira ngo birenze ibyo bantu forum iri kuzana ariya marangamutima ari hasi bakayasohora.
These forums are helping people to express their real emotion.
izo zonyine ni ibintu bidasanzwe. ejo abantu
This is something which is unusual.
babugesera baramwe ngo ibintu muri kuvuga hariya bituma abagabo barira.
And the people were commenting, for instance, in Bugesera, saying that whatever you're doing, which is making these men cry,
ati tugomba kubimenya twese tukabibamo.
we want to know what you are doing and we want to be involved as
ni
well.
ibintu bidasanzwe.
And they said it's something which is very unusual.
n'uburyo tureba nkanjye ku giti cyanjye uburyo ndeba uburyo byakinguye kubona ibibazo biri muri community.
But me personally, these forums have opened my eyes to see deeper what kind of issues we are facing in our communities.
bitandukanye n'uko twabibonaga.
What my impression of the issues we are facing in the communities, my outlook on them is very different compared to my previous perception.
noneho umuntu akabisanisha n'ibibazo biri ku isi.
But also now we can compare with what's happening around the world as well.
umuti ni uko abantu bakura bakaganira.
And the solution is that people need to meet and have a conversation.
Really, it's what are the issues that currently you feel, even though Rwanda's come a long way, what are the key issues now that need to be addressed and worked?
ati haza imyaka iri hafi ya 25 jenoside ibaye, ati none ibibazo inzitizi ubona ziriho muri community aho mutuye zikeneye ibisubizo, ati izo zitizi ubona ari izihe?
ubumwe n'ubwiyunge kuko mu Rwanda burahari, dufite politike ibushigikiye.
We have a very good policy which is supported by our current government of unity and reconciliation.
Hari intambwe imaze guterwa,
And we can see that we have made a step forward already.
ariko harimo inzitizi zigihari.
But we still have a few issues as well.
Inzitizi ya mbere ni hari ukuri ukenewe kutari kwavugwa kose.
One of the issues we are facing at the moment, there are some elements of the truth of what happened really that needs to come out. And we still need to find out about the history and to find out exactly what happened during the genocide.
Hari urubyiruko rukeneye kubaza, hari ibikomere bigihari byinshi.
We still have a lot of trauma and wounds in people's hearts.
Bitabonye uko biganirwa mu bibi.
Until today, we have not found a way to talk about them and find a solution.
Hari urubyiruko rurimo rubaza ibyabaye, amateka byabaye gute bakeneye kumenya.
Till today, we still have a lot of young people who are still asking questions about what happened. We need to know what happened.
Cyane cyane urubyiruko ruba kubarokoze jenoside yakorewe Abatutsi.
And that mainly the youth born from the families of the survivors.
Hari n'urubyiruko rupfa ku babyeyi bakoze jenoside rufite ipfumu ry'ibyo babakoze.
But also the youth from the families of the perpetrators, because they are still living in shame because of what their parents did.
Ariko nabo bakavuga ati ariko ibyo ababyeyi bacu bakoze ntabwo tubifitemo.
And they argue saying that we are children, we are the youth, we are not responsible of our parents' actions.
Tubabajwe nuko uru ruhande rutatwumva ko nta ruhare twabigizemo.
We are suffering and we are still ashamed because the survivors and the survivors' children don't understand us.
Keneye rero ko dufatikanya n'abandi kubaka igihugu ariko icyo kimwaro kivuye.
We would like to work together to build the future of this country, but we need to find a way forward together. We need to get rid of our shame first.
Hari inzitizi z'abantu barimo bafungwa muri twasanga abashyize gutyo muri community imibanire yabo n'ikibazo komeye kandi batemeye ko batasabye imbabazi.
We still have people who are being released from prison, and some of them, they still deny their involvement in the genocide, yet they are here in the community. They have to relate, they have to learn how to relate to others.
Biteye ikibazo.
It's a big question.
Harimo ikibazo cy'imitungo yangijwe muri Gacaca.
We also know that there are people who lost their properties, and this has been discussed during the Gacaca process.
Tuzi bamwe ntibashaka kwishura.
Some of them, they don't want to pay back.
Abandi bashobora kuba badafite ubushobozi bwo kwishura.
And some of them, they are not even able to pay back.
Hari abacitse ku icumu batari babona bagomba bashirwe mu cyubahiro.
And we still have those survivors' families who still don't know where their family members were buried, and so that they can bury them in dignity.
Hari ingengabitekerezo ya jenoside y'urwango ibibwa abantu babandi bateguye jenoside yapfungwa kuba bafite isoni arashaka n'ubundi kuvuga ngo ntabwo hari ingengabitekerezo ya jenoside ikirimo.
We still have the issue of the ideology of the genocide, which is still present in people.
Ariko haracyarimo n'inzitizi yo gutandukanya jenoside n'ingaruka zayo.
But also, I think we need to distinguish between the genocide and the consequences of the genocide.
Ndumva arizo nzitizi zigihari, ariko n'uburyo bw'ibiganiro bukoreshwa ngira ngo nta buryo bwabonetse bumeze nk'ubu dukora izi forum deepen.
Those are some of the issues,
uburyo bwimbitse.
but also I don't think we have come up with a method or a methodology like we are using here today to help people, to bring people together and help them, support them to express their deep feelings.
Indi ziti zirimo abantu ko barirukira cyane mu iterambere mu bikorwa bagasana bibagiwe ibintu bibazo bindi biri social.
And the other thing is now generally people are so focused on their economic activities and they tend to leave behind these social issues.
biba ingaruka za jenoside.
And they tend to forget the social issues which are linked to the consequences of the genocide.
indi nzitizi zirimo hari ibibazo bitavugwa bikomeye birimo abadamu bagiye bafatwa ku ngufu hari n'abana babyaye.
The other problem is to do with some issues which are not even talked about. I give you an example. I give you an example of women who have been the victims of rape during the genocide, but also some of the children who were born as a result of the rape during the genocide.
urwo ni urubyiruko ubundi bakuru abo bantu barahari.
They are the youth. They are growing up now. They are adults now, some of them. They are here in our communities.
umutumwe ni uko twese tupromotinga kuri abanyarwanda n'abo bantu bose bari mixed bakibona.
One of the solution is that we need to promote this policy of I am Rwandan, and everybody needs to be involved. Anybody needs to feel like they are part of it.
ni igisubizo kuri abo bantu bose bafite izo identity.
That will help all those people who have all those different identities.
ariko harimo n'inzitizi zindi y'abantu bagiye bahunguka nyuma ya jenoside bumva ko ubumwe n'ubwiyunge ari hagati y'abashitse ku icumu n'abakoze jenoside.
We have also this problem where we have people who are still coming from abroad where they had fled before, and they need to be part of this new way of understanding I am Rwandan, but some of them, they are still reluctant because they think the policy or the unity and the reconciliation is only about the perpetrators and the survivors. It's a process which involves everybody here in Rwanda.
Every year there's a big, or every 6 months there's a big focus not only on the forums but on training new facilitators.
Ati buri mwaka tuje hano muri aza forum ati haba hakurikira iyi formation yo kwigisha urubyiruko n'abandi abantu bazofasha mu makomite aho batuye.
And I think the question is two questions. One is, why is that important? And secondly, has there already examples of these people's training already helping in the community?
Wowe ubona ari ibintu bikenewe ati cyangwa ari ikintu umaze kubona bifasha mu makomite abantu batuye?
ni ikintu gikenewe kuzamura kwigisha cyangwa se kuzamura ubumenyi bw'abantu mu kwikemura ibibazo.
It's very, very useful to teach people and increase their skills, because these people, when they go back to their communities, they can find a way of dealing with their own issues.
ni na ngombwa kuko abamaze guhugurwa hari inzego z'ubuyobozi zagiye zibakoresha.
But also,
tubabuza n'inzego z'ubuyobozi.
some of the trainees, when they go back to their own communities, they have been involved working with the local authorities and helping in the communities.
bigatanga igisubizo cyane.
And that helps a lot to find some of the solutions to some of the conflicts,
haba mu buhamya batanga,
to some of the existing conflicts. Some of them, for instance, by giving testimonies,
ndetse n'uburyo nabo bareba ibintu ko bari bitandukanye no guhera sample babiri.
but also how, after being trained, how they change their mindset on how they look at the different issues they are facing in their own communities.
ubumenyi bafite rero mu gukora mu kuyobora ibikorwa.
So they have now these new skills which they are using where they live in their own communities.
ikibazo dufite ni bake paraporo.
But the main problem we have now is that we don't have enough of them. We need more of them.
icyifuzo ni uko tugira dukugura benshi
We would have to train more and more of them,
bakazakora bino bikorwa iwayo,
so that even when the facilitators are not here, they can carry on this type of work in their own
kandi
communities.
icyiza ni uko bavanze harimo urubyiruko harimo abantu bakuze harimo abakoze
The trainees are mixed. Some of them, they are the youth. Some of them are the perpetrators, and some of them are the survivors of the genocide.
ibyiza noneho twanagane n'abanyamadini.
But we have also now got the church leaders, the different pastors involved in the same process.
uko dushyiramo n'inzego z'ubuyobozi zaba igisirikare, polisi n'abayobozi.
But also we got other people involved, like the security officials, the police and the army, and the other local authorities.
turagira ngo twubake imibanire y'imikoranire twese dukora
We would
turi
like
tuziranye.
We would like to build this web of relationships where people are working together.
Ibi bizorohera bano turi gutureninga gukorana na ziriya nzego ziri kubikora.
That will be a big contribution to the country when all these trainees are working with the different authorities.
Tureninga benshi ni ukugira resources nyinshi kuri community.
We would like to train as many as we can because we want to increase those resources in our communities.
Bazatanga rero imisubizo ku bibazo bafite.
They will contribute that way where they are, where they live in their neighborhoods.
Yeah. And I was going to ask, how has GER changed in recent years? But it sounds to me you've sort of answered in the sense that it's getting more ambitious and bigger and there's more you want to achieve.
Ati nagenda kubaze ingene umuryango wa GER uwo warahindutse kuvugitangira gushika no munsi intambwe wateye atariko mbona byinshi wasa nuko wabivuze atari kindi wakongera ko.
GER twatangiye ari njyewe umukozi birirwa mu buri munsi.
When we started with GER, I was the only one working.
Ariko aho dutangiriye gukora na CFOR.
But since when we started working with CFOR,
hari abamaze kudusanga harimo Olivier ukora umunsi ku munsi, harimo Jean-Claude.
We have other people who are working now with us like Olivier.
Nabo baza kudufasha nka volontaire dufite.
But we have other volunteers also working with us.
Hari inzego z'ubuyobozi ziduhamagara umunsi ku munsi.
We have the authorities of the country in getting involved and supporting us.
Haba ku rwego rw'ibanze district,
Be it at a grassroots level or at a district level,
haba kuri n'inzego zo hejuru NURC.
but also at a higher level with the NURC, for instance.
Hariho turagaragara turahari.
So we are here. People are getting to know us now, which is very good.
Batwiteguye nk'umusanzu.
People know that we have a sort of contribution that we can give.
Iyi experience tuzayifata tujane n'ahandi hirya no hino ku isi.
The experience we are developing here will be helpful not only here, but outside the country, outside Rwanda.
Ni ukuvuga ngo gukingira jenoside, guhangana n'ingaruka za jenoside no gukingira ibindi bibi bizaza.
Here we are facing the issues to do with the consequences of the genocide, but also preventing genocide to happen again. They need to understand that the painful past we have gone through as Rwandans, it's not only for us, it's shared across the world.
There's personal moment where you knew you wanted to do something different for this world and you wanted to help people to have a relationship. What is the moment in your life where you took that decision?
Ati tugire wewe mu bintu vyakubayeko ku giti cyawe, ati ikintu cyuba cyarakubayeko mu buryo mwanya wakivuga uti jewe ubu nyene ntegeze gukora ikintu gihindura ikintu ku isi. Hari habaye iki mu buzima bwawe?
Arankubita cyane.
Tagira.
Nari ntuye mu ntara ya Katanga.
In my personal life, I used to live in this place called Katanga, which is in DRC.
Ansanze ahantu arankubita kubera ko twari duturanye muri quartier ambwira ko n'umunyarwanda arakubita cyane.
And he physically abused me, and he was abusing me physically because he was seeing me as being Rwandan.
Noneho nza guhura nawe nari ndi kumwe n'abasirikare tuziranye.
And then I saw him a few months later. I was with my friends who were in the army at the time.
Ndamufata.
I saw him, I stalked him.
Ndamwibutsa mwibutsa undi we n'ibyo yambariye.
And I told him my history with him, that he was abusing me. He remembered me.
Ndamubwira ngo ndakukora ibyo wamune.
And then I told him that I was going to revenge. I was going to punish him.
Ngira ubwoba cyane tirararira.
Then he was very scared. He started crying.
Arambwira nimweza amafaranga. Nimubwira amafaranga ngeneye.
He asked me to tell him how much money I wanted to let him go.
Ndamubwira ko genda ntukongere gukora.
I told him to go and stop abusing people.
Ikindi cyanteye gukora bino bikorwa.
And the other thing is,
naganiriye n'umu perpetrator.
I spoke to one of the perpetrators,
ambwira ukuntu yafunzwe kandi atarengana.
and he told me how he was in prison and that he was not innocent.
ariko ambwira ko abana biwe bazi ko arengana.
And he told me the story that his children thought he was innocent.
noneho mbona icyuho kiri hagati y'ibyo umubyeyi azi n'abana bazi.
And then I saw that gap between the real story of the father and what the children know about him.
ngira ubwoba ko abo bana bazakura bazi ko se yarenganye.
And then I was scared, thinking that the children were going to grow up thinking that their father was innocent.
abo bana bazakura n'urwango.
But also, when the children grow up thinking their father was innocent, they are going to grow up developing some sort of hate.
mbona ibyiza ni uko twogira ibiganiro bibafasha tugatizanya imbaraga abo bana bakamenya ukuri.
That's why I decided and I thought that there was a way we could support him and help and support him and his children to tell the truth.
kandi ikinshimishije ni uko ndi kubona abana babo bari mu kubona.
And I have seen the results today already. I can see the youth now from the perpetrators' families coming forward and telling the truth.
ndashakisha abantu bakora ibikorwa nkabo nibwo nabonye CFOR. nagiye nshakisha abantu bashobora bakora ibikorwa nk'ibyo nifuza.
That's why I kept searching for people who were doing the same kind of work.
mbona ibyo CFOR yakoze mu Burayi ahantu hatandukanye.
That's why I came across C4 and I read about what they have been doing in Europe.
mbasaba imikoranire ko twakorana kugira ngo tuhateze.
That's why I requested their partnership. I requested to work with them as partners.
So tell me one thing, and let's find out about that. What moves you as you're telling this story?
Ati mu gihe uri kuratubwira ivyo ikintu wowe wumva gikoze ku mutima ni iki?
Because you're telling the story in a voice where there's a lot of feeling, or that you are saying something you know well.
Ndakumva uri ibintu ubizi neza atari ko mbese no mujwi ryawe niko ndakumva numva ko harimo amarangamutima.
But something moves you.
Ati hari ikintu rero cyakoze ku mutima.
kinkora ku mutima iyo mpaye mvuga n'amakuru.
Something which moves me when I'm telling such stories.
nsa n'ubona filime biza bibera mu maforumu twatangira.
I keep going back and having like flashbacks of what has been happening in the different forums.
nkabona amarira y'abari abana ba perpetrators.
I look at the children born from the perpetrators crying in the forums.
y'abari abana bapfuka ku badamu bafashwe ku ngufu.
I see the tears of the children born from the survivors.
nkabona abava ku mashitsi ku icumi.
I see the tears of the children born as a result of a rape on the side of the survivors.
mbona biriya byose bivurirwa hariya nkabibona imbere yawe.
And I keep seeing it as a film in front of me, all those personal stories coming out in the forums. I keep seeing them as a film.
ngibyo
That's what I see when I'm telling this.
That's what moves you.
Icyo nicyo cyakoze ku mutima?
Yes.